So good morning, everybody. I was going to do the lovely countdown, but for some reason, the tech has evaded me this morning. We're on our StreamYard again, which is our new tech. And I'm really excited because we've got a special guest this morning. So you don't just have to listen to me, you'll be pleased to hear. We've got a bit of a juicy topic this morning. We're doing ops versus sales, but it is in a very tongue-in-cheek, light-hearted kind of way. We like each other, really. We just thought it was a really nice topic of conversation that comes up a lot in venues and hotels and meeting spaces. So my special guest this morning is Mathew Jayne, who I'm really pleased has agreed to join us. And he is head of operations at the Lowry and also director of Unique Venues of Manchester. So I'm going to bring Mathew on. Hopefully this part will work. Morning, Mathew.
Good morning.
That bit's worked. The countdown didn't. Sorry, you've not got that big build up that I was hoping for. Thanks ever so much for joining us. Maybe you want to tell everybody a little bit about yourself, just because I don't think I've done it justice yet. You've done so many different things.
Okay, well, as you mentioned, I'm head of operations at the Lowry Theatre in Salford Quays, in Salford, Greater Manchester. Unfortunately, at the moment, as you can imagine, I'm furloughed from that role and have been since March last year. But I have a side hustle, which is running a business called Unique Venues of Manchester. And it's a kind of marketing and promotional organisation dedicated to really promoting kind of venues on that side of things. As well as the website, we kind of have, we do an expo, which hopefully we'll touch on briefly today, no doubt, which was a hybrid expo that we did in October last year. And I know hybrid is passion of selling savvy guys. So
indeed, we like our hybrid events. We've got our hybrid event workshop. Yeah, we're passionate about that too.
And then kind of we do some networking. Obviously, we've been doing we did virtual, obviously most of last year, and all sorts. So my background, did a hotel catering and institutional management degree. So degree, then into hotels, Radisson Edwardian hotels initially, then into conference centres, then into unique venues, and kind of been there ever since. So as the you can tell by the lack of hair on my head, I'm a little bit older than most.
Oh, bless you. So, but you've actually seen both sides of the coin, haven't you? You've worked in sales and in operations, even though you're in operations now.
Yeah, so kind of all aspects really, kind of sales, marketing, finance, operations, technical. So did a stint as a technical event manager down in for a corporate company in London called Sedgwick's that don't exist anymore. They were bought out by a company called Marsh. But yeah, so running their kind of video conference suites, and I'm going back kind of 20 years when it was ISDN lines.
Ooh.
Scary.
So, as they were saying in cricket, you're a good all-rounder, really, then.
yeah, definitely kind of 6 or 7, I would have thought. So, but yeah.
Excellent. That's what I like to hear. So, our topic today, by the way, say hello, everybody. If you are here, it's lovely to see you this morning. Morning, Martina. Morning, Kat. Morning, Kate. Happy birthday. It's Kate's birthday today, Mathew.
Oh, happy birthday, Kate.
We won't sing because that will probably just send everybody over the edge.
And
it's actually my daughter's birthday today as well, so it's a good day for a birthday. Morning, Fem. Yes, the countdown. Fem didn't quite get the countdown last week either. We will get there though, Fem, with the countdown. Morning, Amanda. Morning, Ramonda, Olivia, Diana. Oh, we've got lots of people on this morning, so no pressure. It's obviously people tuning in for the juiciness of the topic.
Yeah. Hello to Olivia, because Olivia used to work for me at the Lowry and now works at Manchester United. So big hello to Olivia.
Oh, hi, Olivia. Thanks for joining us. So, yes, the topic of ops versus sales. I mean, it is very sort of tongue-in-cheek because we do like each other, really. Gloves are off already. But we've already had probably about an hour's conversation about this, haven't we, Mathew? That we probably could have just broadcast.
No, we should have just been recording it.
Yeah. So why do you think there's that friction there between ops and sales in sort of events and hotel conference venues?
For me, I think it's two kind of main things, other than the normal griping that you might get, in a work environment. But
yeah, of course,
it's generally the lack of communication. So
that's exactly the first thing I've written down on mine. Yeah.
Or it's the kind of perhaps the lack of understanding of the other person's role. Or their responsibilities. We were talking kind of slightly before we came on about kind of sales targets, weren't we? And how that can have an impact on the kind of attitude on both sides almost. So I gave an example of where I worked in an operational role and had a sales manager at the same level, kind of working alongside. He had commission targets and I had kind of bonus targets. But they were conflicting targets, so he was focused just on getting his commission, and then would use the tools available to him to kind of discount to make sure he get that sale across the line. But that would then impact my bonuses because I wasn't achieving my targets in terms of, secondary spends like IT and things like that. So, so it's when you get that conflicting responsibilities and conflicting targets, I think that's another really big kind of thing that's going to wind each other up, really.
Well, actually, even the prep we did on our own beforehand, literally I have written down lack of communication, understanding different goals, and that's exactly what you've just said. So to me, that is kind of, I think I'm sure there are other bits and pieces, but they're some of the main reasons I think that friction maybe exists. But I also think there's maybe a little bit of this, I don't know if you agree with this, there's a bit of a stigma there as well, that almost it has to exist. It's almost like they can't be on the same page, which is really stupid, I think, because I think when we met and prepped for this the other day, I quoted, I'd Googled it, and the first thing that came up was a really negative article from an ex-Hilton manager. I think I told you about it. Basically, the title was "Why Ops and Sales Will Never Get On in Hotels," and I thought, oh, well, that's a great attitude to have. I'll be really pleased to be in your hotel and your culture. And it kind of went on in quite a negative way, and I think that's been instilled in us in a certain sense as well. I don't know how you feel about that, but.
Oh, yeah. I think it's interesting, I suppose, to a certain extent, because having worked across both sides and in particular, obviously, my focus, on unique venues is obviously around the meeting and event side of things. You've almost kind of got almost three layers because you've kind of got your BDM sales. You've kind of got your coordinators, and then your operations, and it's probably sales and coordination is probably in the same side of things, and because they're doing obviously reactive, proactive sales combined. But they're coordinating, so they're the ones that are liaising with the clients, and it's when that kind of relationship between those two breaks down is what Hilton's talking about. But not. There's so many easy ways to fix that. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, obviously, you've got to be realistic. It won't always be 100%, but then, like you alluded to at the beginning, all kind of like relationships and office relationships you've got to work at. It doesn't matter whether it's in a hotel or a meetings venue or an events venue or wherever it is. It's still got to be worked at, and they're probably similar things that bring those areas down as well, communication, understanding, etc. So I suppose what we wanted to talk about today was, well, actually, first of all, you asked me a question before we came on air, didn't you, about what used to bug me when I was in sales about operations and vice versa. So we're not going to be mean, I promise, but we thought it would be a good idea maybe just to mention it. I'm sure other people will agree. So from my perspective, I think I did feel like I did understand a little bit about what operations were up against. Maybe not at the beginning of my career. So I think that needs to be something that we'll go on to talk about, that needs to be instilled in the initial training. But I did used to get frustrated when I used to hear kind of like comments like this. No, you can't do that booking. We can't turn the room around in time. So that used to wind me up a little bit, because I just used to think, oh, okay, then that's a 20 grand booking. Sorry, we can't turn the room around. We'll just say bye-bye to that piece of business. And that used to frustrate me a little bit, that it was kind of, we can't do it, end of. Whereas I used to kind of like come at it. I suppose this is another way of looking at solutions. I used to say, I can't turn it away just because of that. Me and my team will come down and help you turn the room around if that's the kind of real crux of it. So I did used to get a little bit frustrated by that. So that's I'm just going to say that one thing. We're not going to have like a big argument or anything. So your turn.
So mine was the flip of that, wasn't it? Mine was exactly the flip of that. The fact that ops feel that sales don't say no. Yeah. That they have the inability to actually tell a client, no, unfortunately, we can't do that. You know, so it was kind of that kind of, you know, where you're saying we'd turn around and say no all the time. It was a bit like, well, sales says yes all the time. Yeah. You know, yes, you can have this. Yes, you can have that, which is obviously, you know, oh God, operations has now got to deliver that kind of attitude. So I think that is a classic of the communication side of things breaking down, whereby you know, you're saying we need to do this. They're going, no, you know, oh my God, all sales does is say yes to clients. Which,
but again, that's probably, I mean, and I guess that's an attitude as well that needs to be stopped from the manager down as well, because otherwise that, you know, that sort of phrasing and terminology and conversation is going around the venue all the time, isn't it? Oh yeah, sales have said yes to that again, or ops have said they can't do it. Oh, you know, that kind of moaning side of things needs to be stopped, really, doesn't it? I'm just having a look at some of the things on here. So morning, Jessica.
I like Amanda's one about
morning, Jessica, as well. Morning, Jill. So Amanda has put, sometimes the ops team see the salesperson having lunch, entertaining, etc., and have a few. I feel how hard they work, not realizing it has taken a huge amount of background work to get the client in the hotel in the first instance. Yes. That is a very good point. I admit, Amanda, that I did used to quite like that side of things when I did it proactively. But you're right, you know, all the prospecting, all the research, all the maybe we've got them to come to us from a competitor. Yeah, but it's understandable also from the ops side of things if they don't understand that. So it goes back to the understanding, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's that kind of, you know, ops are there really early in the morning, you know, or late at night, kind of working if it's a dinner, you know, and they're the sales team either sat at the table because they're entertaining clients, or, you know, that kind of quite blinkered view of that is really that needs to be broke. If you have that issue in your venue, you need to break that down straight away, because you know, it's not realistic. You know, both teams work as hard as each other, and obviously, as we've talked about.
Oh, I don't know. You know, I don't think I'd have to say I take my hat off to operations, because I personally couldn't do it. You know, I think physically it's a very demanding job, and it's something I wouldn't be able to do because it's not my skill set. So.
But it also has its rewards. You know, most people, you know, and I speak probably for myself more than, you know, when I say most people, that ops, you get to see the clients enjoying themselves, and the reward of the end of the kind of event, and they, you know, you've achieved a really good event for that client and they're walking away happy. There's nothing kind of better than that kind of feeling.
Yeah.
Particularly
that is a good point.
About weddings in particular, you know, you're seeing the bride and groom go off at the end of the night, and you've worked all day, you know, probably a 12-14 hour day to look after them.
Yeah, you've made their day, their memorable day.
You know, you can make or break their day, and you know, when you make the day, it's a great thing. So.
It's one from Fem. It used to bug me when ops just said no without even thinking about it. I think that was probably similar to my comments. Yeah, it's when things weren't thought about or discussed, probably, rather than anything. Gosh, we've got loads of stuff coming in. Diana, experienced many examples of sales over-promising. Yeah, we did used to over-promise sometimes, and then ops under-delivering. Yeah, that's a really bad situation to end up being in, isn't it? Definitely. Yeah. Oh gosh, Caroline, from a client point of view, you feel so much more looked after and less worried if sales and ops are working together. Definitely. meeting someone from ops who will be there on the day, night in advance of the event is essential. That kind of leads us probably nicely on to some of the things that maybe we can do, that we think we can do, and that maybe we have done to sort of help the communication better, or to prevent the friction, if you like. And I think that's quite a nice one, Caroline. I always used to really like it if we got the chef or the events manager, etc., ops manager there in the meetings, you know, so they can actually physically discuss what can and can't be done, and you meet the whole, and they're part of the process from the beginning. And I know that can't be done all of the time, but certainly for certain types of events or sizes of events, I think that for me used to work quite well.
Yeah, absolutely. It's on my list as, you know, early involvement, you know, where possible, get the ops team involved. You know, obviously we don't need to be involved in necessarily, you know, we talk obviously site visits are, you know, old style kind of, you know, don't need to do the sales one, but quite a few times you'll get the client coming back for a second site visit where they start talking about the operations as well. Get the ops team involved, you know, and I think particularly moving forward, the audio-visual teams are going to be a key part of that kind of conversation. You know, they always were, but, you know, I think even more so as we move forward. I think
you're right. I think especially if we're going to be starting to talk about hybrid events and everything, they're going to need to be the reassurances that the tech is there, if it's either in-house or if you're using a third party, etc., that they're brought into the situation as well. And I think we also touched on this as well, especially when I said that maybe in the beginning I wasn't quite as aware of the impact our decisions were having on ops. I think it's just crucial that people's training plans, development plans, etc., from both sides of the story include good time spent with sales and ops, because then you get to see what each other's challenges really are. And I think from a sales point of view, I know when I used to take on new starters, and they always used to have to spend at least a week hands-on in ops. Maybe there's an argument that it needs to be even more. But one of the things that I also really used to like to do is that they took an inquiry, and then they actually, that inquiry that converted, they then ran it on the day as well, so they could see the whole thing from beginning to end. But I also think it's important that ops spend time in the office so they can see sort of how tough that can be as well, you know, the challenges that they face.
Yeah, and I actually think you could go a step further. I always kind of question, why give sales training to the sales team only? You know, extend that sales training to across your team to the sales and ops. I kind of refer to kind of when we talk about customer service, and you know, I'm part of the team at the Lowry that rolled out the customer service, you know, training, and it was like, oh, that's only necessary for the kind of customer facing people. I said, everyone has customers. You know, the sooner you understand everyone is a customer, so you roll out the customer service training to everybody. So in the same principle, why wouldn't you roll out sales training to your ops team? You know,
I completely agree.
We talked about this again. The extension, your ops team are an extension of your sales team. You know, what's the kind of age-old? It's 5 times more expensive to recruit a new customer than it is to retain an existing one. So, you know, your ops team are delivering that customer service, that retention, you know, in order to keep that customer. If they get a good experience, you know, plus as well, upselling, you know, it's the biggest kind of bane of most managers' lives in terms of getting your team to.
It's funny you should say that, actually, because when I was at Marriott, we did we put a course in place which I helped to write across the cluster, and it was for all the teams, all the team members across all the hotels, no matter what department they were in. And one of the things we used to talk about was, I don't know if you've probably heard of it, the power of one. So selling one more coffee, one more room night, one more upgrade, one more starter, one more flip chart, although I'm not even sure flip charts are still available. I'm showing my age now. I won't say OHP. I know they're not there anymore. I'm not that old. And then we used to add it up, and we used to say, if everyone did this once in a day, we would obliterate our budget. You know, it's that simple. So I agree with you. Everyone's a salesperson to a certain extent, definitely.
And, you know, we've got to understand it's not easy. You know, that the power of one, if everyone was doing the power of one, and yes, absolutely, we will be smashing our targets, but it's not easy to do that, as long as there's a recognition that it's not easy. However, if you don't try, it's a bit kind of, one of the big things I have from an ops point of view is the start of an event. The most important part of any event from my point of view. It's the kind of must do, and that's the meet and greet in particular. Because if you get that right and you start going through all the details, but bear in mind, as an ops person, yes, we all get these sheets, of all the information to do with the event, and you read through them and as part of your prep, and you've set the room up and everything. But you're reliant on the fact of the information that's in front of you on that sheet is the correct information. Well, if you run through that with the client on arrival and make sure that it's all okay, if there is anything that the customer goes, well, because bear in mind also the customer that's there on the day might have been the customer that coordinated it with the coordinator. And that comes back to this communication and understanding the roles. If ops sometimes get frustrated with the coordinators with the information's not right, but that's the information that the coordinator's been given from the client. So you kind of, if you understand that, you can then know. But you mitigate all the issues that you might face throughout the day of an event by running through it, because you can tackle it straight away if you know about it.
Yeah.
Completely reassures your customer. Yeah. And I think Caroline alluded to it. That's that kind of sales and operations kind of coming together to make sure that everything really works nice and smoothly. But that first initial impression, that first kind of meet and greet, that first kind of going through the details, so vital. And I always try and encourage, if the salesperson or the coordinator that coordinated it can be down at that particular point, even for that 5-10 minutes of going through the event with the client, it's almost like that handover kind of almost gives that, and again,
confidence, doesn't it? It's confidence to the customer as well.
If the customer is the customer that the coordinator's been dealing with, it's nice that the customer, sometimes you might not even meet each other, coordinator and client. Just that meeting, and that, again, builds the relationship, builds the kind of for the future, and obviously is part and parcel of the sales.
I think that's a really good point. And something else that I used to like to do at the other end of that process is, as a DOS, if there were certain sort of clients in-house or certain pieces of business, I would go down and do the post-event meeting, the physical meeting. I don't mean the one where you send off a form and get the information. I used to do that alongside the ops guys, so they can discuss, what went well, what could have gone better with regards to the event, and then I can also chat about future business, etc. So we were working together on that side of things, and they can also see how important maybe that client is to future business, to the hotel as well, and I could understand how it had worked, and maybe how to feed back to my team to do things better next time, etc., etc.
Oh, completely. Yeah, that two-way comms is probably the most vital part of it, isn't it? That, because ops has got to feed back to the sales team, because you can add that information onto the CRM so that you're kind of building a picture of that customer, so that when they come back next time, you've got a much better, from a sales point of view, if you've got a bit of paragraph of information about that client, who they are, that they've been before, this is what they liked, this is what they didn't like, this went wrong last time, make sure this is right, for next time. It's so powerful, so powerful in retaining customers. So
I think I completely agree, and I think I think Lynette actually said something on LinkedIn earlier, saying it's not just about sticking it on a BEO and handing it over, it's about talking about it. And I think we alluded to this earlier as well, but looking at aligning goals where possible. So if you are kind of like senior in a venue, it's how can you align the goals a little bit more. So I'm going to, because we're running out of time, which I knew we would, because we both love to talk, of course. I'm going to very quickly look at some comments, and then I thought we would just pick up on a couple of things that maybe, I know you've been doing some work on future trends and things that are coming up and predictions. So I thought it might be interesting to see how they might affect ops and sales. So Jess said, agreed, Mathew, we paint the picture and sometimes we need to have the discipline to manage expectations. I found having operations background helped me develop into sales. I totally agree, Jess. I said to Mathew the other day, the best event sales team members I used to have are ones that came from an ops background. She also said, now I find that I have to inform our team as to who is in and why I'm entertaining what's at stake. Well, yeah, again, that's communicating to them, isn't it? And letting them know. Gosh, so much. There's just so much. It's a really kind of like juicy subject. Kate had said, I agree, Becky, I wouldn't either. It's a tough job. I think she's talking about operations. Yeah. Olivia, I've done ops and it's hard. A lot of times I found sales would sell something that was unrealistic. Now I've experienced it. I tried to consult. Yeah. So again, this just communication is just such a big thing, isn't it? So, so what couple of things can we quickly sort of talk about, do you think is going to affect both the ops and sales side of things?
So I've kind of done a little blog. You can find it on uniquevenuesofmanchester.co.uk /news and offers. It's just about kind of what I've done. I've kind of looked at a lot of the kind of trends, predictions, expectations for 2021, kind of put them into a bit of a blog. And kind of, I think from an ops and sales point of view, there's a number of things that are going to impact both sides. My number one is technology.
Yeah.
Get location. You know, we
could be the new Kirsty and Phil, Mathew.
You what, sorry?
We could be the new Kirsty and Phil.
Yeah, well, yeah. But when I was at uni, it was location. It was kind of that kind of your location of your restaurant, location of your hotel. You know, now it's going to be technology, and,
yes,
and there's so many aspects of technology that's going to impact. You know, certainly conference and events industry. You know, we touched on it, hybrid events. You know, that's a whole new thing. So that's a whole node of Loom learning, and you know, I kind of think, you know, my sales team has all been kind of furloughed from the Lowry, except for I've got one, my manager she's still working, but you know, they're going to have to come back and learn a whole load of new stuff that wasn't there before. You know, yes, there was the odd event that used to get live streamed or streamed, but now it's almost going to be every event is going to have potentially some kind of technology involved. And then that's not just that, you know, a lot of discussions around kind of on-demand venues, high-tech venues. You know, as venues, we've got a whole load of new competitors. You know, TV studios are popping up left, right, and centre. Production companies are creating their own kind of TV studios. You know, these are now competing for the events market as well. So, you know, a lot of kind of talk around that AV is now actually going to be the secondary income for venues and hotels, and on the basis that catering, because certainly in an interim period, smaller delegate numbers, you know, kind of coming through, social distancing will possibly be still part and parcel of that. So the spend on catering is going to go down massively. You know, we're going to be having to give bigger spaces for smaller numbers, you know, as venues, which, you know, kind of be upsetting given the fact we all, you know, a lot of targets and sales is BDR wise, you kind of, it's all about getting the amount of people bumped on seats, the better the DDR.
There's so much stuff when you're talking that I'm thinking from a sales perspective, you know, we're going to have to go back to that knowledge is king, and making sure the sales team know, as obviously as well as the operations team, know about all of that stuff, but also do the competitor swaps and the new, like you say, the new competitors, learn about that, learn how to sell hybrid events, which you can do with Selling Savvy, by the way, shameless plug. And, you know, what questions to ask and all that kind of stuff. So there's going to be a lot to kind of like look at when we're back up and running, isn't there? It's not just a case of picking up with where we left off.
On both sides, it's, you know, you've said on the sales, but that's also operations. You know, potentially whole load of new training on or what can be delivered and what can't be delivered, and you know, that kind of that yes/no conversation, you know, that we started with is going to be really interesting. But when we add technology into it, is it that no, we can't actually do that, you know, but making sure that comms stays really fluid to make sure that you know that you know, at the end of the day, you're going to have lots of different customers with lots of different expectations, you know, and clients are becoming more tech savvy. So just be mindful, you know, trying to pull the wool over eyes of customers.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Well, I mean, we could talk for hours, literally, about all of those subjects. And sorry, I know that you've done that lovely blog, and thank you for saying, and maybe we can, I'll pop if you've got the link, I'll pop it on the group afterwards. So it is time to go. Yeah, Fem said, 30 minutes. Yeah, I know. She knew I'd struggle. Just quickly share a couple of the other comments that have come up. What have we got here? Caroline, yes, it's definitely not essential for all smaller events, but anything big or over a few days, it's great to feel like we are a full team, definitely. Jess, during the tougher part of tier 2 and tier 3, I went back to roots and planned, sold and ran events on the day. Absolutely loved it. Yeah, I bet that was quite good fun as well, Jess. Yes, Mathew, from Olivia, we're all human and sometimes mistakes do happen both sides. Sometimes you can spend weeks doing a function sheet for someone to have different timings. I know, it's frustrating for both sides. I've been there as well again, but that's what they said. That's what they told me. And Jess, collaboration with venues is really going to be needed as capacity changes so the client doesn't suffer. Example, to showcase Manchester in the best light, I'm going to recommend venues and help with that part of the customer journey if we can't accommodate. Absolutely, that's brilliant. Collaboration. We love collaboration at Selling Savvy. Becky, lovely Becky from Unique Venues. Hi, Becky, has put your blog link in. So next week, I'm really lucky, actually, I'm back again next week to have another fabulous guest, and she's watching now. So hi, Jess. We've got Jess from Hotel Football, and we're going to be chatting about being a mum in hospitality and that kind of, the challenges it poses and all that kind of stuff around that topic. So again, another juicy topic. Selling Savvy are continuing their burst sessions as well every Tuesday, which I don't know if anybody in the team is able to pop one of the links in. If not, I'll pop it in afterwards at the end, which you can book on and have a free 15-minute chat with us about any burning questions you've got about sales and social media at all. So thank you, Mathew. It's been lovely.
Thank you. No, brilliant.
Thank you very much for coming along, and I'm sure we'll have to have you back for part 2. Maybe to talk more about those predictions, etc. So have a lovely weekend, everybody, and thank you ever so much for coming. Take care. Bye.
Bye.